I've changed so much as a person since I've met Ellen. I used to think that the way to be strong was to be tough.
Ellen DeGeneres and Portia de Rossi's love story began in the early 2000s, but the spark between them didn't fully ignite until 2004. Both women were already known in Hollywood. Ellen as a beloved comedian and talk show host, and Portia as a talented actress best known for her role in Arrested Development. When they first met at a social event, there was an undeniable connection, but Portia was still very private about her sexuality and not yet ready to step into a public relationship. That all changed when they crossed paths again at a VH1 photo shoot later that year. This time, the connection was too strong to ignore. Ellen would later say that when she looked into Portia's eyes, she felt like she had finally found the person she had been waiting for all her life. Soon they began dating, and for both, it felt as though the missing piece had been found. Back then, same-sex relationships in the public eye were still met with criticism, but Ellen and Portia chose to be true to themselves. Their early days were filled with quiet dinners, long conversations, and learning how to be there for each other despite the pressures of fame. Friends saw how happy they made each other, and when they eventually walked the red carpet together, the public could see the warmth, humor, and deep respect they shared. Even though their relationship was still young, many believed Ellen and Portia were building something that could last forever. As time went on, that bond only deepened. In 2008, when California legalized same-sex marriage, they didn't wait long to make their commitment official. Their wedding was intimate, held at their Beverly Hills home with just a handful of family and friends. Ellen wore a tailored white suit, Portia a pale pink gown designed by Zac Posen, and the ceremony was filled with laughter, tears, and promises to stand by one another no matter what challenges lay ahead. Their marriage became a symbol of hope for the LGBTQ community. They built a life together, sharing beautiful homes, supporting each other's careers, and pursuing passions that mattered deeply to them. Ellen's love for animals, Portia's growing dedication to art and philanthropy. Ellen often said Portia made her want to be a better person every day, and Portia would describe Ellen as the most caring soul she had ever known. At charity events, on award show carpets, and in rare glimpses on social media, they seemed like the perfect pair, always laughing, always proud to stand beside one another. To the outside world, their love looked unshakable, but as with any couple, there were struggles hidden from the public eye. During their marriage, Ellen's career soared to unimaginable heights. The Ellen DeGeneres show became a global daytime television success, winning multiple Emmy Awards and attracting millions of viewers daily. Her humor, kindness, and ability to connect with people made her one of the most recognizable faces in entertainment. But the show's demands were enormous: long hours, endless interviews, constant pressure to keep audiences happy. Portia was often her safe harbor, encouraging her to rest, to laugh, to remember the joy in the small moments. In return, Ellen encouraged Portia when she stepped away from acting to focus on her art and animal rights work. But fame has its shadows. Over the years, gossip columns whispered about trouble in their marriage, rumors they both brushed off with humor. Then came 2020, when Ellen faced a career-shaking controversy as former employees accused the show of having a toxic workplace culture. The headlines were relentless, the criticism harsh, and Ellen's carefully crafted image took a hit. Portia stood by her side, publicly defending her and reminding the world of Ellen's good heart, but behind closed doors, the strain was beginning to show. From the outside, they still looked like the perfect couple, smiling at public appearances, posting sweet birthday messages, but those closest to them noticed subtle changes. They were spending more time apart, drawn to different lifestyles. Ellen still deeply tied to her public career, Portia seeking a quieter, more private existence. There were disagreements about where to live, how much time to spend in the spotlight, and how to balance their individual dreams. In 2022, When Ellen ended her talk show after 19 seasons, she spoke lovingly about wanting more time with Portia. But insiders said the relationship was already under strain. The truth was simple and painful. They were growing in different directions. And though their love hadn't disappeared, the ease and closeness of earlier years had faded. The announcement of their divorce came as a shock to fans around the world. After nearly 2 decades together, they had been a beacon of enduring love in Hollywood. Their joint statement explained that the decision was mutual, made with deep respect and love, and that they would continue to care for one another even as they started new chapters. They asked for privacy during the transition, and while speculation swirled, some blaming the pressures of fame, others pointing to the natural evolution of a long relationship, those close to them insisted there was no scandal, no betrayal, just 2 people acknowledging a change they couldn't ignore. Ellen stepped back from public life, her appearances subdued, her usual bright energy tempered by the weight of the moment. Portia kept an even lower profile, focusing quietly on her art and philanthropic work. For weeks, Portia said nothing more, letting the joint statement speak for both. But eventually, she shared her truth in a rare, heartfelt interview. She explained gently that it wasn't about falling out of love, but about recognizing that love can take different forms, and sometimes the kindest act is to let the other person grow without you. She called Ellen one of the most important people in her life, thanked her for the years they shared, and admitted that the constant public attention could be exhausting. Over time, they had both changed. Ellen rediscovering life outside television, Portia immersing herself in creativity and conservation. They hadn't stopped caring, but their paths no longer ran side by side. Her words were free of bitterness, filled instead with gratitude, and they resonated deeply with fans who saw in her honesty a rare grace. Even though their romantic chapter ended, their story remains one of Hollywood's most memorable. For nearly 20 years, they showed the world what it looked like to love openly and proudly in the face of criticism, to support each other's ambitions, and to stand together through storms. Their wedding became a milestone for marriage equality, and their years together a reminder that love can inspire far beyond the 2 people who share it. Ellen now spends more time on personal projects and her animal sanctuary, while Portia continues her art and animal rights work. They may walk different roads now, but the respect between them remains, keeping their story free from the bitterness that so often follows celebrity breakups. Fans will always remember the way they laughed together, the glances filled with unspoken understanding, the joy they brought into each other's lives. That truth, that letting go can be an act of love, is something many struggle to understand, yet Ellen and Portia lived it with dignity. They built a life of memories, shared growth, and deep connection. Those years don't lose value just because the romance changed form. In fact, their relationship succeeded in ways that numbers and timelines can't measure. They communicated honestly, even when it meant facing difficult truths. They chose not to compromise their personal growth for the sake of comfort, and in doing so, they showed that endings can still be filled with care. Since the divorce, Ellen has been seen traveling, working on smaller creative projects, and enjoying a slower pace of life. Portia has been pouring herself into her art exhibitions and wildlife rescue initiatives. Their lives no longer overlap daily, yet both seem intent on living with purpose. Fans have responded with understanding, sharing their favorite memories of the couple and expressing admiration for how they handled the split. In a Hollywood landscape filled with messy separations and public feuds, their decision to part ways with kindness stands out. They didn't rewrite their history or trade blame. They honored what they had and let it end with respect. And maybe that's why their story will live on, not just as a tale of love, but as a lesson in grace. Because in the end, it isn't always about how long a love lasts, but about how well it is lived, and how deeply it is respected when it's time to say goodbye.